Hey everyone, Zerdus Gaming here, back with another AFK Journey video. Today is going to be quite a long video, I think, because I'm going to highlight my PvP team in AFK Journey. PvP Arena is one of my, I would say, favorite modes uh, in the game. So as you can see, I'm currently number one in my server. My server number is 311. So that's like 2 or 3 weeks after the main launch of the game. So the good thing about my server is that there's like only a few number of whales, me included. I would say I'm a whale. I already have spent $1,000 in the game, and I'm actually on my 31st day of playing this game, and I am enjoying it quite a lot. So let me see if I'm correct. Yeah, so it's my 31st day here, and um I have been doing pretty well PvP uh in my PvP climb. So I was able to keep the number one position almost constantly. Probably sometimes I go to the second position or the third position, but I do get the top five champion rewards every single day. So that's approximately 1,050 arena coins. So without further ado, let me just share to you my team that I use for arena. And I think this is no surprise because as if you have been playing AF Journey for a couple of weeks or days now, you would know that you have your Iron, Carolina, Arden, triumvirate, I would say, the trio, which is it's the meta team here in AFK Journey. And I'm going to explain a little bit, or I would explain in detail why these three heroes are very overpowered in AFK Journey today. And probably that would change in the future. That would change once the new season would come in. However, as of today, these three are monsters, absolutely monsters. So let me start off with Iron. So Iron is absolutely shit in early game. Like um, if you haven't built up Iron to, I would say, Supreme Plus, he is a very useless unit early game. So Iron won't help you early game essentially. However, once you make him Supreme Plus, once you unlock his EX weapon to plus 10, not plus 15. You can do that plus 15, but it's so expensive. To at least plus 10, man, Iron would create miracles for you. Okay. So what essentially Iron does is he can do his ultimate at the first instance of starting the game, of starting the if you if you start the your encounter, you'll be able to immediately cast his ultimate without um, the need of his energy or mana. And why he is very very strong is that his ultimate displaces the enemy into one central point. So all of those enemies would be sucked in into one single point, like a gravitational pull of some sorts. And once he does that, he also reduces the magic defense of the enemy. And they are immobilized for 6 seconds. Can you just imagine that once you have your weapon at EX plus 10? That's a very, very powerful move. One of the most unique moves in AFK Journey. So he essentially is the enabler for this whole trio, right? Because he pulls them into one point, reducing their magic defense, and they could not move for 6 seconds, right? That's Iron. Very OP unit. Get him. Okay? The second most OP unit, for me, it's not actually Carolina, but Arden. And why is Arden a very OP unit? Again, Arden, together with Iron and Carolina, they are absolutely shit in early game, right? They can't help you in any way in early game until such time that you get them to Mythic Plus. However, if you really want to see them shine, get them to Supreme Plus. These three trio. So why is Arden very, very strong? So once Arden has gained his Mythic Plus or EX weapon, he inflicts all enemies within the range of the Dark Cloud entangling roots after casting Force of Nature. So imagine this, right? Aaron pulled them into one location, into one central point, and then Arden would then cast this Spring's Thunderstorm, his ultimate, and then rooting them for another, in my case, 3 seconds. And within a 3 tile radius. And that's a huge one, actually. That's a huge area. So you won't miss anyone once Iron would cast his ultimate. Now, another thing why Arden is very OP is once he gets his Supreme Plus skill, the Thunder Strike cooldown on the same enemy is reduced by 1 second. So imagine this. You cast your Thunderstorm. Normally, without that Supreme Plus skill, the Thunderstorm deals, or not sorry, it's got confused there a little bit. But essentially, the Thunderstorm would be able to strike the enemy every second. I think previously it was only like 2. So therefore, from 2 to 1, so every 2 seconds to every 1 second, his damage almost doubles. Right? So that's another thing. Secondly, he is OP because of this skill. Here. Nature's Resilience. Arden recovers 12 energy whenever non-summoned unit is controlled. So, again, Iron pulls them together, right? For 6 seconds. As long as they are immobilized and controlled, Arden gains energy. In my case, it's 15 energy per second per enemy. So that's 60 energy per second. You multiply that by 6 times. That's 360 energy. So, can you imagine how fast, if once Iron does his ultimate, then Arden would be able to do his because of this effect, right? And another thing is, which I forgot to highlight, it's they are entangled for 3 seconds. So when you're entangled, you can't do anything. It's like a stun. You can't move, you can't attack, right? So that's the power of Arden. Third part of the trio, Carolina. Carolina is a huge damage dealer. So essentially, once you have that control in, Carolina will just dish out damage to these enemies within that radius. So, Carolina, once you unlock her EX weapon, cast a snowball witchery, permanently increase the damage of the snowballs by 10% up to 7 times. That's like 70%. From the third cast of snowball witchery, Carolina deals AoE damage to adjacent tiles with newly produced snowballs and reduces magic defense by 15% for 6 seconds. However, because I have upgraded this one, it's now 25%. So you have Iron reducing their magic defense by 15% and Carolina by another 25%. Right? And then this one inflicts frostbite when dealing damage with snowball witchery Frostbite actually decreases the haste or energy regeneration of the units afflicted with frostbite. So you have this perfect combination of crowd control. They can't move. They are entangled. Their magic defense gets reduced, and they get nuked. So essentially, your enemies would be cleared out in just a few seconds, and that's what I'm going to show you guys with my gameplay. Okay, right. And the other two, I would say, flex, quote unquote, flex units that I include in my PvP defense and offense team is number one supporting unit, Daman. Daman, another freaking OP unit. I know I always keep saying OP, but yeah, this guy is OP. Why? Once you unlock his mythic plus EX weapon, his chariot now would heal within a 2-tile radius 80% HP per second. Per second. So that's a huge one, right? And then the Daman also gives haste, 40 haste for 10 seconds. It's almost at the start of the battle, Daman casts his chariot, casts this supporting emergency support to that chariot. You then see your HP and your energy go up by a significant amount, making the whole cycle of these ultimates, they keep on, the trio keep on casting their ultimates so they can completely wipe out the enemy team, right? So that's one. And aside from that, because that's the start of the battle, Daman controls a toy plane. Essentially, you see that it's a very small toy plane. You can see that in the field. It goes to the farthest enemy at the back line and then stuns the enemy for 5 seconds. And this skill actually there's significant damage to this one. It's 300% of his attack power. And his attack power is actually complemented by this hero focus because it increases his attack by 20% during battle. So this little guy, OP. You can't attack Daman. Once he's on the battlefield, he goes to the back. And you can't attack him. The only thing that can attack is his chariot, and he keeps on summoning that chariot. Now, if you're always controlled, you can't attack the chariot. So what the chariot does is Daman, moves the chariot towards the enemy, and then it explodes with an AoE. And then once it explodes, it would be blinding them for actually not 3 seconds. Because of the Supreme Plus, it's now 7. It's more than double. And what does blind? So if you're blind, what does that mean? It means that you are unable to hit enemies with normal attacks. Oh crap. So you're immobilized, you're frozen, you're entangled, you're blinded. You're essentially being controlled by these freaks, right? Absolutely overpowered. And lastly, not my clutch unit, but my flex, another, I would say, the unit that I tend to change the most and replace the most, it's Hewin. Hewin. I need to pronounce that correctly. It's Hewin. Hewin is, I would say, a very powerful defensive healer. If you unlock Hewin's Mythic Plus EX weapon, it says here,
It was an accident.
Hewin is unaffected for 6 seconds while casting Rain Prayer. All allies take 30% less damage. So once Hewin needs energy for her to be able to cast her ultimate, which is like an AoE heal. Now that AoE heal, once she does that, there would be a temporary buff that would make all damage taken reduced by 32%. And once you unlock her weapon, at least to level 5, Hewin has 300 initial energy, so it's easier for her to cast her ultimate, which makes her a lot better because Hewin in early game, again, these 5 heroes, they're all shit in the early game. Like you won't be able to use them early game. But once you unlock the mythic plus weapon to at least +5, that 300 initial energy would just help her a lot because she's a very slow healer. Without that, she's, I would say, useless because by that time she would cast her AoE heal. Without this one, I would say your team was already probably dead. Right? And one thing that people miss with regards to Hewin's capability is her Supreme Plus skill, which grants an ally 30 haste for 6 seconds when Revitalize is in effect. This is very overpowered. And why is that? What's Revitalize? Revitalize is when the current HP ratio of an ally is below 50%. Hewin grants them a healing bonus of 120%. And this effect applies each ally once every 8 seconds. So you would see once your team, one of your team gets hit by a, let's say, a Vala, for example, reduces their HP to 30%. Hewin immediately gives that ally Revitalize, healing like absolutely to the max immediately. And on top of that, that ally would be given haste on top of Damon's haste and on top of Damon's healing. So if you try to target one unit, he when heals that unit, gives that unit haste, and that unit would then cast his ultimate faster, making the whole cycle very overpowered. Okay? So those are the 5 meta overpowered units in PvP arena. So now you're probably asking, where's the tank? Like those are 5 units without a tank. Here's my philosophy with regards to PvP. The meta right now involves AoE control. Like everyone just gets damaged. Now the reason for you having a tank, and I think you have done this as well in PvE, is that you have a tank because you want to protect your backline, like the softies, your damage dealers and all. However, PvE and PvP is different. PvP right now is just AoE damage. So even your backline would be damaged by all of these units. So I think there's no point for you in having a tank. In fact, I think having a tank is just dead weight. It's just doing nothing, in my honest opinion. There's also a question with regards to why is there no Scarlita? I think, for our server, the Scarlita meta has not yet reached our shores, quote unquote, because we don't have many whales. I'm going to show you a gameplay specifically countering or attacking a Scarlita team both in defense and offense, and I was able to beat her. However, not consistently because she actually has a higher power. I just wanted to highlight that. The reason why I don't like Scarlita is in the first 15 seconds of battle, she does a support role. She gives shields, but she flies up in the air, becomes invincible, and gains energy, right? But then he just leaves all the rest of the units fending for themselves. And then after 15 seconds, or I think once you have like 2 units left, she would descend, attack, and whack units. However, using my team, I think I'd be able to clear all all of your units except Scarlita and Damien, because he Damien is invincible until, I mean, Damien is practically invincible, so as long as there's a unit present. So that's my logic there. I don't know if it would change, but as of this point in time, I don't think Scarlita is much of a threat um, with my current team. And the reason why I keep on losing, I will show you the stats here. So I have a guildmate who keeps attacking me constantly because I think she's yeah, second, I'm first. And so she wants to climb, so she keeps on attacking my account, and that's absolutely fine because I can learn from this one. So she attacked me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and I attacked her once because I couldn't find her in my list. So out of those 8 times, I was able to defend 3 times from that. However, she's a very powerful lineup. So first off, this is the team that she used. Almost similar to mine, but instead of Ewan, he used Rowan, and Rowan to give mana to everyone. So yeah. So using that logic, it's very hyper offensive. He also wants to clear out of all my units. And then later on, because I was able to have a successful defense here using the same, she he then changed. No, because I was able to successfully defend myself. Then she changed her strategy, put in Scarlita there, and so I was able to defend again successfully once. So that's the story of Scarlita. So I'm just going to show you this one in which I won to prove my point that I don't think Scarlita is a thing that I should be scared of. So Scarlita just goes up, right? And then gives shields, etc. So practically there are like only 4 units there, including the chariot. And with my hyper offensive team, I could easily clear all her units down below, right? And then look at when she actually descends. So already have cleared out how many units? Iron, cleared out Rowan, and then probably kill eventually Arden. So now she descends without killing anyone, and she's immediately controlled and cleared. So yeah. And just to highlight how I did that, well, I used my and this is actually quite critical. I use an enlightening artifact instead of the controlling one. And the reason for that is I want Damien not to be controlled, so he would be able to cast his ultimate first, which was very nice because I was able to clear her team quite easily. So yep. And for my offense, I was able to find her here. So let me just replay that. For some reason, I was able to cast first. I'm not sure why, and I thought it was about resonance levels. But if he were able to cast first, I think I would have lost, right? So yeah, same thing. Scarita ascends, just leaving all these other units behind, but I was able to clear them, nuke them. And then once Scarita descends, everything's already over. Oh, see, Hewin heals. That's almost the sign that the game is about to end. And then you just have Scarita execute, but he was she was not able to do anything. And this is a Supreme plus Scarlita plus 15 EX weapon using my normal arena team. So guys, I hope I was able to highlight why this team here that I have is absolutely OP. They are absolutely monsters. So I hope you found this quite helpful. Like, subscribe, comment below, and if you like to see more of these videos, come drop by for another video, hopefully tomorrow. You all guys have a good one. Zertus Gaming out.